Hey friends, it's Sarah. I'm back. It's been a while, so I apologize for that. But I don't. It's been a really crazy time. My sister got married and just processing all the things going on in the world. But I have a really special guest today that you'll meet later. And I want to make sure her message gets shared because she recorded this a really long time ago for me, and I'm so excited to introduce you to her. Her name's Sara, and you can find her at The Choices Coach. And check out all her videos. She's just really trying to help us be wholehearted people after the heart of the Lord first, but then being healthy and wise and making good choices for our bodies and souls. So check her out. She's awesome. And today, which I'm really excited about, so normally I would be painting weddings. It's June, so I go to weddings and paint live at weddings, but of course because of the coronavirus, everything's either postponed or canceled, so can't really do that. But then I thought, I know some people who've had Zoom weddings, and I participated and been a part of a Zoom wedding by laying on a hammock. So I thought, why don't I take a screenshot and paint a wedding picture from the screenshot of the Zoom wedding. So that's what we're doing today. Just to let you know, I also have been teaching Zoom art lessons and writing lessons, which has been such a blessing in this time. I love mentoring people to help their creativity come out. So if you're interested, just let me know. But really, it's so much fun. And I use my extra paint to start new paintings from those sessions, and that's where actually this painting came from. I had extra paint, and so I was like, I'll start a wedding painting for my friend's wedding gift. Why not? And yeah, so normally on a Saturday I would be at actually I think this weekend, all June is such a busy wedding month, so normally I would be painting a wedding, but I get to still do that, so just a little different than I thought. Yeah, I mean, just a statement on how I'm doing. It's been kind of rough with lots of things. I mean, I live in Richmond. There's been a lot to process here and lament and pray for. Personally, I've said goodbye to my sister moving out and hello to a new roommate, which is so fun. And I've had some pain, some pretty significant pain that I've been dealing with too. So it's just all the emotions and all the feelings. And so I'm just praying for kind of maybe a slight tad of a even keel, but you know, that might be too much to ask for right now. Yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys are having a good week and that you get to do something creative this week. And remember, if you have any questions about anything that I do, art-wise, I'd love to help you out. And today I'm doing acrylic, so I think next time I will do a tutorial on how to mix colors so that you feel a little bit more equipped. But you can just watch me today to see what I'm doing. And then the next time, I think I'm gonna make a book, a little journal. So just to get a little tease, that's what's up in Sincerely Sarah Studios land. Bye guys. Okay friends, so this is what I have so far. It's just a gallery wrapped canvas, so I paint around the edges as well, and then it's just ready to paint to hang right on the wall. So this is looking a little weird because there's red, right? And there's all these different colors, but I was just using the extra paint, so that's pretty fun. And I just drew it out as I was teaching Zoom lessons, which was really fun. So this is their first kiss, and I thought we could make it really fun today by just completing the right colors. I actually love using the complement of a color, so green and red are complements, they make each other pop. I love using the red for the shadows, and then they'll peek through just a tad, and that will make it a little more rich and dynamic, and I like to say it twinkles when you add in the complement for the darks. So just so you know, that's my theory of that. But I also think sometimes you just gotta paint it out and draw it out in whatever color you have, and then just go for it, because acrylic is opaque. You can just paint right on top of it. You don't have to worry about it too much. So there you go. Okay, I'm gonna start with the background. Let me see. I'm just wetting out a piece of the yellows comes through from the back with a little paper towel. I don't even know if that made sense. What just came out of my mouth, but. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of just one in front of me, a little magenta with some darker green to give it the shadow. The shadows are more of a cool green, but this is more of a hot, like yellow. It's bringing it out, the sun. But the shade is a bit more cool because that's what shade is. Like there's some flowers. They got married in a field, a beautiful field. Some like wild clovers or something. I don't know. They're pretty. It's like a more of a phthalo green mixed with a little bit of magenta that I have. But you could use red and green. Just figuring out mixing colors. I'm gonna have fun doing that one next time. And then bring some of that light in where the light is hitting. Also, this is a fun part. The background is more about the romance of it, so you can kind of have fun with it. Don't forget to paint the edges. I'm going to take a more of like a foresty green approach for the rest of the shadow, because there's different greens give the variation of light, and I love green. My dad always says, use more blue, use so much green, but I can't help it. I love it. I'm gonna add a little magenta to that too. Just feeling it. I don't know if you can see this subtle difference, but it really is. Don't like using paint straight out of a tube. I think I told you that in another video. Don't do it. Okay, now this is really important. I always do this bottom part first because it's gotta dry, and it's hard to dry, especially when you're on a time crunch. If you do it last, you'll just forget. And it will be hard to do all the details sideways. It's better you do it first. So I'm a swimmer, and I started swimming again this past year, which was so great, on a team. I was getting better, my back was getting better, but then COVID happened and I couldn't swim anymore and I couldn't do my Pilates classes that helped my back. So anyways, that's the pain I've been having. And the irony is that swimming started 3 days after my back pain started. So I have gotten in the pool. It's a much better, but it can be discouraging. I don't know if you've ever had any kind of pain that like lasts longer than a week, but oh my gosh, it's really humbling. It makes me think of all the people who live with reoccurring pain all the time, and this makes me want to be a little bit more empathetic and pray for them, because just to keep morale can be really difficult. It's really easy to want to be bitter. You're like, why is this happening again? I thought I'd come so far, you know? So anyways, that's just me, but I'm okay. I'll be all right. I love this brush because it's like got grassy texture. Sometimes I make sure that it's actually recording. It's like my biggest nightmare that I just recorded for like 30 minutes and it wasn't recording. So I'm curious if anybody has been taking up a new creative hobby, and if so, please share. I have done a couple different painting times with a friend or with a group of people and on my porch here, and I've just noticed a lot of people say, oh, I haven't painted in forever. This feels really nice. It feels like light and airy and I feel like a kid again. And I'm like, that's the most beautiful thing, you know, that we can paint and feel like kids again. A little bit of that creator energy. I love that. That's kind of what I mean by creative rest. Last week I made a pasta sauce and had, like I just made it from scratch and I just went for it, like all these different ingredients, like capers and olives, and then a bunch of herbs from my garden, and it was creative rest for me. I needed it, and then I got to eat it. So I love how the red kind of shows through in shadow. Can you see that up here? I love that. It really gives it some dynamic layer to it. I'm gonna go a little bit darker on the bottom, just because you only do it once. I mean thicker. You want to look like good thick paint, you know? See when I can deliver this. I don't know, I haven't talked to her in a while. I feel like in some ways I've been more connected, in other ways I've just been crazy busy with my sister's wedding. Was so much fun, guys. Oh my gosh. I think you were here last time when I was talking about her matching. So she matched and now she's starting her residency, which is like crazy. Pray for all the doctors who are just getting started on their first residency. And be careful that you don't have to go to the ER, because there's a lot of new doctors in residency. I'm just kidding. They have people who are above them helping. But do pray for them, for sure. Okay, so around the people, you just want to get like the basic colors. We'll go over better with making the people. I made them intentionally so I could go over the grass a little bit. There's nothing worse than having people like fade into the grass and not be the center of attention here. So, just gonna play with it a little bit until it feels right. Okay, and there's these like little, I don't know, dark little flower, maybe they're weeds, but they look so pretty. I'm gonna like see if I can imitate them. Also get to go to a baby shower today, which is really fun. So, it's like all the good feelings today. I'm gonna mix a little purple with the, like a forest green color that I have. I'm a big proponent of mixing colors from scratch, but today we're working fast because I gotta get to a baby shower, so. Socially distanced, don't worry. Okay, I'm gonna add some hints of purple throughout, mixed with So general rule of thumb is to have some like big strokes, some medium strokes, and some very tiny, tiny strokes. It makes it more interesting for the eye to travel through when there are not even just strokes, but like objects in the painting of different variation of size, and you find like a balance of that. And then you can kind of just have fun with it. I love giving gifts. That is my, well, I have a lot of love. I love touch too, which has been really hard right now, so can't touch people as much, which sounds weird, but you know what I mean. I love giving hugs, and when we can't give hugs, it's really hard for me. It's like, I miss my humans, and I miss seeing people's face behind masks. It's really hard for me. I kind of read lips. Does anybody else do that? And then they're like, I actually can't hear you very well. Ah. The other day, I'm gonna get real serious real quick, but I have the Bible app on my phone, and I think it was Proverbs 18:10. I'll put it on my little link, but I think it was 18:10. It's like, the name of the Lord is a strong tower, the righteous man runs into it and is safe. And it was like, it popped up on my phone as the verse of the day, which I don't normally like spend too much time on. I'll be like, oh yeah, cool. Like on Father's Day, it's like honor your mother and father, which always makes me laugh. And anyways, but it just really struck me that day, and I was like, oh man, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. And I ended up talking to a friend who went to Jerusalem, and asked her like what a tower would have looked like, and she sent me some pictures. And I just drew a little, it was a doodle, like a little, I've been doing a lot of little black and white ink doodles. And it was so sweet because I feel like that was God preparing me for a hard thing that happened later that day. And I just remembered I have a strong tower I can run into, the name of the Lord, Jesus. So I don't know, it was really nice for the provision of that. I was feeling it. Oh. That's my spiritual note of the day. But if you don't know him, you can always call it to his name. See what how he answers you, in the way he answers your life, and seek him, and you will find him, I believe. Getting quite hot out here. It's quite humid. So I even put a little bit of the details on the bottom, just a little bit. Nobody really looks at the bottom, but you know what I do? I sign it on the bottom. So I'm gonna do that. Well, I need a different angle. I put 2020 real big, because I'll never forget this year, but just in case, you know. I think I'm gonna write congrats too. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay. All right, while that's drying, I can continue on with the background. Now, I'm looking at the picture here on my iPad, so if you're wondering if I'm just doing this from memory, I'm not. I'm not superhuman, never will be, never will claim that, and there's a lot of tools we can use to help us. There is like a pretty good shadow right here, which I need a darker color for that, so here I go. Yeah, it was so funny. So this friend of mine loves gardening, and we had led a Bible study together, and we would always talk about gardening, which I love. I'm very beginner. I have a podcast called Secret Gardening with Sara, which is more about the secret gardening of my heart, but there's a lot of gardening metaphors that I think of while I'm gardening that reminds me of spiritual things. And anyways, this sweet friend and I love gardening, but right before the wedding I was at my mom's house actually, ready to like get in to watch on Zoom, but I ended up gardening in my mom's garden for a good like hour, and I was like dressed, I like was wearing a dress and a hat for the wedding, like, you know, you gotta dress up a little bit, and I thought it was appropriate that I had gardened before her wedding, and then ended up watching it on a hammock. What weird times. I love it. If I haven't told you guys yet, hammocking is my favorite sport. Okay, there is like a slight tinge of white sparkling in here everywhere, so I want to add a little white to it. Even in the shadows, there's light coming through the dappled. In different little pockets. Which will be nice for the bridal effect. It's a tad of green in it too, so that's good. While I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna go ahead and do this green. There's like a green color behind the fence. It's What I need is this other color. I add a little phthalo and some red. I think phthalo makes it a little more romantic. It's a type of a hue of the green. And then I'll use the red for the complement. Sometimes I talk out the side of my mouth like I'm trying to be cool. I'm not. But I like myself. Okay, I feel like I need to show you my palette. Look how fun that is. I'm just mixing a little bit of this forest green with phthalo green and a little red and making this deep dark shadow color, which I love. You can see what I'm doing? Yeah. I'm making that first layer of the forest behind them always really dark and shady on the bottom because the light's not getting there. And it's good to not make it all just one color, so I like going to add in some other green too, but start with that dark green. All right, almost up there. Okay, I think I'm gonna do a quick, what's it called? Time lapse.
Most people think an artist is some big shot, romantic hero type. That's totally true. But maybe I should clarify. All I mean is if you're human, and if you're breathing, then you're made in the image of God. And we are all making, because
Okay,
the
that is
maker
going to be a
made
good
us
stopping point before I
free.
start on the people, because you want it to dry, which won't take very long in this heat. So I'll be back really soon and work on the people. Okay, I'm back. It is dry, like I can touch everything, totally dry. And this is where I'm gonna start doing some details. Now, because it's such a relatively small painting, the details that I can do with these brushes in a short amount of time for that impressionist look won't look like, I don't know, it'll be impressionistic. You'll see. I'm going to probably put this on a time lapse too, because I gotta go to this shower and there's people like mowing their lawns and stuff. But I did wanna say, I posted some mermaids I used to draw when I was like 4 or 5, around the time my brother was born. And just thinking about that, about how being an artist is kind of like being a kid and just delighting and almost like obsessing over things and like paying attention so deeply that you just can't stop. Like you just are so like, your thoughts are like, oh, mermaids. mermaids. I mean, I literally just did mermaids over and over and over. And it made me think of that because I'm drinking this mermaid seltzer. I don't know if you guys ever had these. They're so good. Anyways, I think that's really my job as like an adult, is to get back to that feeling as a kid where I just wasn't scared and I just went straight to the paper and did what I thought needed to happen to make a mermaid. Now I look back and I can critique it and be like, well, I could have definitely been better at drawing people and mermaids, but they're really precious to me, and I think I am envious of that little girl who was so brave and would just go draw countless mermaids. So in honor of her, I might do a mermaid at some point this summer. So anyways, just another little tease. I'm full of them this Saturday. All right, so I'm gonna do a time lapse of this. I'm pretty happy with the background. I'll probably add a little bit of texture you'll see in this to make it a little more lush. I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm pretty happy with it. And especially when you take a step back, it looks really good. So I'm so excited.
Now I read a couple books by Professor Tolkien, but Samwise said it best. We're living a story with an end too good to be guessed. But usually what that looks like is something simple, like making up my bed, or saying I'm sorry, or having coffee with a friend. 'Cause every choice you're making, it is.
Okay, I think I'm pretty much done with the people. They're looking like them, which is fun. Especially like when I walk away, the impressionist look, it's sparkly. So I'm just gonna do one more time lapse of the background because I want the green to sparkle a little bit more, and then I'll be done.
Creating some kindly artifact that opens a doorway for a pilgrim to find rest. So maybe you're a plumber, or you're a drummer, or a mama of 20 kids. You live in a wheelchair. There's not a soul without something to give.
Okay friends, I think I'm all done. All right, that's been our create portion. Now an encourage portion. Well, I hope it's encouraging just to watch. Sometimes it's nice just to watch things being created. But yeah, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Sara and how she finds creative rest and contentment in this season. So enjoy.
Hi, I'm Sara Moser, and I am so thrilled to be a part of Sara Tisdale's YouTube channel. I'm so glad that she asked me to do this, and so I just wanted to say thank you to her for having me on. And she asked me to answer a couple of questions. So first I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I am a personal trainer in Kansas City, and I have a business called Choices Coach, and I also have a YouTube channel called Choices Coach, and I do faith, fitness, and food videos. I used to be 50 pounds overweight while being a personal trainer, which is bad for business, but I got the weight off, and I have kept it off for probably 5 or 6 years. And so that's what I do on YouTube. But the questions that she asked me to answer first: what do I do for creative rest? And this is something that I'm just sort of newly getting into. I mean, I've always been creative, but I don't know that I always associated it with rest. And it's just recently that I've really learned to create with God, not necessarily just for God, but with God. And that makes it a lot more exciting and a lot more fun and just a lot more free. And so recently I had gone to a healing trauma seminar, and during that they had us sketch our own personal trauma. So it was partly learning how to minister to people with trauma, and it was partly learning how to minister to ourselves to overcome trauma. And so after doing a sketch of what my trauma looked like, the next day, like the Lord just opened up like this flood of just download of ideas, and I just was sketching them all out. And then I realized, okay, some of this is meant to be painted, some of it's meant to be collage. And so this was all before the quarantine, and I ended up kind of doing all of these pieces of artwork in a rush, thinking that it was for an event. So I wouldn't say that was restful, but I did actually feel just a release, and like it was art therapy for me. So the whole collection was basically to illustrate our life before accepting Christ, during accepting Christ, and then after accepting Christ. And you can see that whole exhibit. It's on Instagram. I just did like a standalone feed for that, and it's at the feed KC. But I'll just show you some of my favorites. So this was a little bit of collage work where I just did a painting, or wait, I'm holding it wrong. Okay, so this is like to illustrate God's creation, like he just holds us in his hand. And then this is to illustrate like the breath. So this has to do with the Hebrew, like the Yod in Hebrew, which is part of the name of God, Yahweh. The Yod is just like a hand, and it's kind of like the picture of it in Hebrew is kind of more like a hand like this, but you know, I illustrated it like that. Like that he holds the whole world in his hands, including us. And then the Hey in Yahweh is, the letter Hey is for the breath. And so I did this illustration because I think everybody at some point has picked up a dandelion when they were a kid and blew the seeds all over the place. And I like the idea of him blowing seeds all over the place, right? We can be planting seeds. So that was that. And then this is, before we accept Christ, it's kind of like we're like prey, and our hearts get broken. Sin breaks our heart. And so this was one of my favorites because right when I cut out this heart, right after I cut out this heart, this was so cool. I never heard this song, but I was playing some music on Spotify, and this song Pieces started playing, and I think it's by Bethel Music, or maybe Stephanie Gretzinger. I don't quote me on that, but this song Pieces plays, and like right after I'd cut out the heart, the words, the lyrics, "You don't give your heart in pieces," rang out over my speaker, and I was like, what? Like, oh my gosh, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, I just cut it out. I hadn't pasted it. I hadn't glued it on the artwork yet. And then, after we fall into sin, it's like we're in bondage with sin and shame and fear and guilt, and then the wages of sin is death. And so I actually put chains on this one to represent that bondage, but then we just feel kind of empty. And so this is one of my favorites, emptiness amongst the thorns. Like, until we accept Christ, our hearts are kind of empty. And this is to represent people, that people are like roses. It's like there's some beautiful fruit there, but there's also thorns because we're not in heaven yet. It's not the Garden of Eden, and so there's thorns and thickets, and we have to work the land, and we have to labor and work hard, and this life is kind of toil, but also people can be prickly because in some ways we're broken people, and hurt people. And so I just kind of went through this whole thing, like kind of painting out my pain. And then, and it did get better. But I didn't want to take the time to show you all that stuff because I didn't want to ramble on too long. You know what I'm saying? I'm already kind of doing that. But, and then this was inspired by Sara's YouTube video whenever she painted a watercolor tree. So I used acrylics and some watercolor, and I don't know, I just did kind of a mix. But for me, this was paradise. And I'm not really like a painter, I'm just dabbling in this stuff, so I'm not a pro like Sara is. But I did take some of her advice with the trees, and I did do I made them a little bit more gray, and I got that tip from her YouTube video that tree bark is really gray. It's not really just like solid brown. And I try to make my happy little trees like Bob Ross, and then I try to do some flowers down here, and a body of water is just so serene. And you're probably like, well, where is the sun? I don't see the sun in this painting. And I'm like, well, the sun was right above me. This is paradise to me. So this was just like a standalone that I did. This one I really did from a restful place of just, I'm gonna have fun with this, and I don't care about it being perfect. Doesn't need to be perfect. So that was that. Other things that I like to do for creative rest is I love to journal, and I love some stickers. I'm not necessarily the best artist. I just kind of dabble. I'm one of those people that's like a jack of all trades, perfecter of none. So I will put stickers all over a journal to kind of doll them up and just make them cute for God. And so, I don't want to share all my private prayer requests that are in here, but I've tried to pick out a page that will just show you. Okay, let's go with this one. So I have some stickers, like a scripture sticker, and then like some fun stickers. This says positive mind, positive vibes, positive life, and then I've got some flamingos at the bottom of this page. So, hopefully I didn't share any private prayer requests when I showed that. Oh well. Then I also have this. I haven't been doing a lot of stickers in this prayer journal for some reason, but I have been using, I love that. I'll just show you a blank page because I'm still working on this one. It's got spots to put your verse, what you're thankful for, your prayers, and then answered prayers, and then your requests. So I love to have these kind of boxes where it just makes you a little bit more mindful about what you're praying for. And then I can be creative with that with my stickers, or you could do your own artwork in there. The other thing that I love to do is I love to dance. That is probably where I feel so much release, and just a lot of times I'll just freestyle dance in worship. And now that I've been on quarantine, I haven't been able to get to the gym and do that, but I have been working on some choreography for the song Miracles by Colton Dixon. So I'm not finished with that yet, but I have been coming up with some choreography. And just how I do that is I will just put on the song and just sort of feel the music and just see what kind of dancing comes to me. But then once it starts coming together and I kind of have an idea of the moves that I want to do to put together the choreography, then I will print out the song lyrics so that I can see, here's an example where I can pick out the verses, the chorus, the bridge. That way I can actually see how it's organized as a song. And then if there's certain parts where I'm having a hard time figuring out dance moves for that particular part, once I see it, how it's actually supposed to be organized, then it helps me organize it in my head and figure out, okay, well, for that part, that's a bridge, so I need to do something different there. Or, this is why that part is such a challenge, because it doesn't it's not the chorus. And I'm so visual that I kind of need to see it too and not just hear it. I know some people can choreograph a song from start to finish and never actually have to print out the lyrics. They just understand and just get it. I'm not that person. And then lastly, okay, so before quarantine, I didn't even know quarantine was gonna happen, and I had purchased myself a junior guitar because, you know, I don't know, I'm kind of a dainty person on some level. I thought I need a junior guitar. I don't need like the big full-size guitar. And so I've actually been trying to learn to play the guitar. And the reason that I call this creative rest is that the Lord has really pressed it upon me that I don't have to do this for him, that he literally just wanted me to have a guitar because I've always wanted one. And he's like, just get yourself a guitar. Because I'm like, always like, where's this going? What are you gonna make me do? Like, where is this going? Are you gonna make me like sing with a worship team again? And like, do I have to learn to play to be in the worship team? And then it's like, just relax, little girl. Like, you've always wanted a guitar. Like, just settle down and you can learn how to play at your leisure or not. Like, just, you've always wanted a guitar. I want you to have it. And I mean, it just like sort of broke my heart how beautiful God's heart was for me, because I'm always like, where is this going? The thing is, it's like, just rest. You don't always have to know where everything's going. And then so that was a big long answer to the first question. And then the second question she asked was, how do I find contentment? So contentment, I think during this time, I am just really learning to trust God for the long term. I think that I've realized how much I trust him for the day to day, but I'm finding contentment in just realizing I have breath in my lungs. The sun is shining today. Like, there's so many things to be grateful for, and I think that if we just focus in on what we're grateful for instead of worrying about the unknown, it helps ground us in Christ, in our firm foundation.
That's Bowie.